episode 12 of Why Do We Say That? This is Phil Chenabert from my new studio. Look, I got a new blanket. See? Isn't it cute? Okay. Yes, I'm a big spender, folks. Today we're going to talk about the origins of the phrase goody two-shoes and handwriting on the wall. The handwriting on the wall says that this is going to be a great episode. And finally, the little word meander. You know, to kind of meander. What? Okay. Now let's start with goody two-shoes. How many times have you heard that phrase said with that curling lip in contempt? Little goody two-shoes. What, maybe 50 times? 100 times? Now, we all know that it means it's a derogatory comment on someone who's just too good, and we don't like it. They need to loosen up a bit. So why do we say it? Where did it come from? The phrase comes from a children's tale that was very, very popular in the late 1700s. In it, there is a young heroine named Goody, G-O-O-D-Y. No, I'm not making this up. She is young, alone, very, very poor, and apparently very verbal too, because she says a lot. The story covers her search for fortune and fame, which she achieves, but never does she ever stray from the path of virtue, honesty, etc., things like that. So I've explained the goody part of the little goody two-shoes, but why the two shoes, you may ask me. I know. Well, it seems that she begins in rags and has just one shoe to wear, until, by working hard, by virtue, she gets another shoe. And then she constantly goes around holding both of them up in glee, saying to anyone that'll listen, two shoes, see, two shoes. Okay. No, now, this was a very popular story. I haven't read this, actually I did read this book. And it's apparently why the phrase goody two-shoes became a phrase for a person who is just too syrupy, sweet, and good to be tolerated. Like me. I'm too good. Yes, alas, my virtue is outstanding. By the way, virtue comes from the Latin word for strength. Strong, virtus, manly. Okay, the handwriting on the wall. When we read the handwriting on the wall, we can see that something not so good is coming down the road. For example, when a friend of mine showed up for work one fine day and he found his desk sitting out in the hallway marked for storage, he had no trouble reading the handwriting on the wall. Now, why do we say this? To indicate a forecast of some calamitous event. When we know that something unpleasant is coming down the road, that's when we usually say this. Well, it comes, of course, as we all should know, from the Bible. The 5th chapter of Daniel, to be sort of exact. I said 12th, didn't I? It's actually the 5th. The scene occurs when the king Belshazzar was hosting a feast to celebrate the subjugation of the Jews. During this feast, he committed the sacrilege of using the sacred vessels taken from the temple as a drinking cup. He poured his wine in there. At this outrage, a finger suddenly appeared and wrote on the wall, Mene, mene, tekli upharsin. No, upharsin. I'm not very good with languages. The prophet Daniel, who had been brought captive there, was only too happy to interpret for the king that God was not happy with what he had done to the Jews and would severely punish them. That's what it meant. Now, from this, it is easy to see that anyone who sees the handwriting on the wall is foreseeing something unpleasant happening. The last word I'm going to talk about here is the word meander. I love the word meander. I like to meander through life, just smelling the roses and the flowers and the manure and things like that. Meander means to take a winding and aimless course. When you meander down a path in the forest or meander through a department store, you're unconsciously imitating the winding river called Meander, which, as it wends its way through the plains of western Turkey, takes more than 600 turns. This completely astonished the Greeks when they discovered it, because their rivers kind of roar through the mountainside landscapes, and so all of these twists and turns of the Meander River, coupled with its doggone slowness, all combine to make it their way to describe something slow, casual, and aimless. So let's meander right to the end of this episode of Why Do We Say That? This, by the way, is episode number 12. Thanks for listening.